All right, I think this bad boy's on. Hello, everybody. So today I want to discuss Israel's use of human shields according to the United Nations. U.S. aid to Israel, which doesn't exactly go to all the things that you might think. So it's not just the Iron Dome, that's a small percentage. This is according to the Congressional Research Service, which is essentially a body that works for the U.S. Congress. That's going to shock you. And also Israel's, how do I put this lightly? I don't think there's a good light way to discuss this, but essentially Israel's use of sexual assault against Palestinian kids that nobody knows about, and I'm going to get demonetized if this ever does get monetized, which I don't really give a shit about that, to be honest with you. But I think that this channel is going to take a hit for discussing sexual assault. If you could donate to Patreon, that'd be great. If you don't, no problem. Appreciate a comment to spread awareness because this boosts the algorithm, blah, blah. You get the point. So, number one, a UN report about the use of human shields by Israel. Normally, when we discuss things like human shields, we always hear about the Palestinians. Oh, look at that. The Palestinians used human shields. What an atrocity. That is an atrocity. But right now, we are going to focus on Israel's use of human shields. Palestinian people who are used as human shields, a lot of times they are also kids. Why am I focused on this? Because it's not talked about often. Should other things like the Palestinian use of Palestinian human shields also be covered? I think they also do with Israeli civilians, but you get my point. Should that be covered as well? Yes. Am I going to focus on it right now? No. Why am I discussing both sides at the moment then? Because people usually say, well, no, that side might, maybe they do something, but what about this other side? And it's always done all the time. Oh, Biden did something. Well, what about Trump? Oh, Trump did something. What about Biden? We are mature adults, okay? God, I'm going to have to bleep both those out. We're mature adults. We can say both things are bad at the same time. I will do a video about the Palestinians as well. Right now, we're focused on Israel's use of human shields. Okay, now, normally, we have reports by the UN talking about Palestinians. And I'm showing it right now. If you're listening, I'm showing an example on the screen. But the last report that I was able to find on Israel's use of human shields, which, by the way, they're still doing this, but the last time the UN actually reported on this was all the way back July 4th, 2013. So the very first picture I want to show you, so this is official record by the United Nations. I'm going to quote this. Quote, "The committee expresses deep concern about the continuous use of Palestinian children as human shields and informants. 14 such cases having been reported from January 2010 to March 31st, 2013 only." Now keep in mind it says only. This is only during that period of time, and 14 is what they were able to find. This does not include the total amount that this happens. That's incredibly important to remember. Normally, by the time the United Nations finds evidence of something, it is generally the tip of the spear. Not just with this specifically, but generally speaking, that's the way that it goes. Keep that in mind. Okay, here's another screenshot, another quote. "Almost all the soldiers using children as human shields and informants have remained unpunished. Oopsie poopsie." Now there's two examples I want to discuss. And this is kind of like a pyramid made from Dante's Inferno or something like that. So we're going to keep getting deeper and deeper into how systemic this problem really is. First things first, one example that I want to throw your way. "The state party soldiers have used Palestinian children to enter potentially dangerous buildings ahead of them and to stand in front of military vehicles in order to stop throwing of stones against those vehicles." So there's specific reports saying, hey, look at that. They're using them as shields to get Palestinians to stop throwing stones. Gee, what if this happened in Ukraine? Do you think Americans would say, no, Ukrainians don't throw stones against the Russians? Probably not. We'd probably say, well, good for them. But when it's the Palestinians, it's a little bit different. I wonder why. Okay, now let's go back into the prosecution. So this is the second example I want to go into, which goes into how people are convicted, if they're convicted, etc., etc. "Soldiers convicted for having forced at gunpoint a 9-year-old child to search bags suspected of containing explosives only received a suspended sentence of 3 months and were demoted." Okay, so that child's going to be scarred for life. It's great that that child didn't die. Okay, we can all say, hell yeah, kid didn't die. Cool. Scarred for life. Parents, scarred for life. Relatives, scarred for life. Friends, scarred for life. Everybody's destroyed because a 9-year-old kid was used as a shield. And the only thing that the soldiers got was a suspension and a demotion. No prison sentence. Nothing else. Not even a fine. You're not going to be able to find their names, by the way. I checked. And it keeps getting worse. So I'm going to show you one more. I'm going to slow down on all the documents and stuff here just a second, but I just want to amp up the evidence. One more here for you guys. So 2008 to 2009, this according to Human Rights Watch, 2 Israeli soldiers were found guilty of using a Palestinian boy as a human shield during the 2008 to 2009 offensive. What happened to them? They were given demotions and they were suspended. So there's a standard procedure that is followed by the Israeli government whenever things like this happen. Demotion and also a suspended sentence. What does that tell us? That tells us that this happens enough to where they have a standard protocol that is created in order to deal with this. No prison sentence, nothing, even though this is a human rights abuse. Americans, is this something that we can support? Look, even if you're supportive of the Israelis or the Palestinians, we can both agree that is not good for the Israeli government to do this. If you're pro-Israel and you hear that the government is doing things like that, you might think to yourself, maybe it's a good idea that we improve our public image to create more support for the Israeli government. Maybe human shield is not the way to go. Maybe people should actually be prosecuted. Maybe the US should have tied aid conditionality on top of the support, which I'm going to discuss in another video shortly after this. Maybe there should be more conditionality with the aid to investigate things like this. That would be something that would be good to promote. Okay. I love the title of this, by the way. I'm showing a document right now. I love the title of this. This is by the Israeli Embassy. It's a title. It says, UN condemns the use of human shields. So they're not talking about Israeli use of human shields, by the way. They're talking about Palestinian use of human shields. Israel has widely acknowledged the fact that human shields is a terrible thing, but yet there's no acknowledgement about their own use of it. Okay, so conclusion. What are the final remarks here? Listen, you cannot, as an American, you cannot say that you're for freedom and justice and all these other things if you're still supportive of the Israeli government doing these types of things, all right? We are complicit by default because we publicly support the state of Israel. Now, this isn't a political activist speech right now saying that, oh, look, we need to abolish the state of Israel and all these other things. Listen, I'm coming about this from a factual matter-of-fact standpoint. If we do not do something about this, if we don't spread awareness about this situation, if we don't bring people's attention towards this situation by sharing videos like this or the sources that I listed in the description box with everything labeled, if we don't share sources and things like this, history will not be kind to us. We being Americans, are going to be a part of the problem. And look, we are already associated to the part of the problem. But this would be very easy to, sorry, I'm like spitting everywhere. This would be very easy to remedy. Hey, Israel, how about if you don't put these people on trial, we will withhold aid. Problem solved.